There was a man named Daniel who had been planning to propose to his girlfriend Clara for several months. He loved her deeply and wanted the proposal to be unique and unforgettable. He read articles online, watched countless videos, and thought about different ideas. He did not want to simply kneel down with a ring. He wanted something grand, something creative, something that would surprise Clara and make her smile forever. One evening, while scrolling through his phone, Daniel saw a video of a drone carrying flowers into a wedding reception. The guests cheered as the drone flew over the crowd and gently lowered the bouquet into the hands of the bride. The moment was magical, and Daniel thought to himself, "That is it. I will use a drone to deliver the engagement ring. Clara loves technology. She loves surprises. This will be perfect." Daniel spent weeks practicing with his drone. He tied little objects to it to test the weight. He practiced flying it low and steady. He even decorated the drone with ribbons and tiny paper hearts to make it look more romantic. The plan was simple. He and Clara would take a walk by the lake at sunset. Then the drone would appear carrying the small velvet box containing the ring. It would hover in front of her, and he would take the box, then kneel and propose. Daniel imagined Clara's shocked and joyful expression. He imagined applause from people nearby. He felt certain it would be the most memorable proposal anyone had ever seen. The evening finally arrived. The sky glowed orange and pink as the sun lowered. Clara walked beside Daniel, holding his hand and smiling. They reached the lake where ducks swam lazily, and the water reflected the fading light. Daniel's heart raced. He told Clara to wait by the bench, while he stepped a few paces away to control the drone. He pulled out the controller, his palms sweaty with excitement. He pressed the buttons, and the drone lifted gracefully into the air. Its little lights twinkled like stars in the ribbons. Fluttered in the breeze, Clara gasped in surprise as she spotted the drone. She laughed and clapped her hands. "What are you up to, Daniel?" she asked. But Daniel only smiled nervously, guiding the drone closer. The velvet box dangled beneath it, tied carefully with string. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. The drone buzzed toward Clara, who stood with her eyes wide open and her mouth covered in shock. Then disaster struck. A gust of wind blew across the lake, stronger than Daniel expected. The drone wobbled, the ribbons tangled around its blades, and the machine tilted sharply. Daniel tried to steady it, but the weight of the ring box pulled it off balance. The drone swerved left then right before spinning wildly. Clara stepped back with a startled cry as the drone dipped downward toward the water. Daniel shouted, "No, no, no," and pushed frantically at the controls. But it was too late. With a loud splash, the drone plunged straight into the lake, dragging the velvet ring box down with it. Silence fell for a moment, except for the rippling water and the quacking ducks. Clara stared at the lake, her hand still covering her mouth. Daniel dropped the controller and ran to the shore. His shoes sank into the mud as he peered into the water, searching desperately for the box. The drone sank quickly out of sight, leaving only bubbles. Daniel felt his heart sink with it. His perfect proposal had turned into a clumsy disaster. Before his eyes, Clara walked slowly to his side. She looked at him, then looked at the lake, and suddenly she began to laugh. Laughter was soft at first, then louder until tears rolled down her cheeks. Daniel turned to her with a miserable face. "How can you laugh?" he asked. "I ruined everything." Clara shook her head and said, "You did not ruin anything. You tried to do something special. You wanted to make me happy, and that is what matters." She hugged him tightly and whispered, "You do not need a drone, you just need to ask me." Daniel felt tears sting his eyes. He pulled a small backup ring from his pocket, because deep down he had feared something might go wrong. He knelt down on the muddy shore and said, "Clara, will you marry me?" She laughed again, wiped her tears, and answered, "Yes, of course, yes." People who had been walking nearby clapped and cheered, even though the scene was messy and wet. Clara leaned down to kiss him, and they both laughed together. The proposal was not perfect in the way Daniel had planned, but it was perfect in another way. It was real, it was honest, it was filled with love and laughter. The drone still sat at the bottom of the lake, but the memory of that chaotic moment became a story they would tell for the rest of their lives. Later, Daniel promised himself never to depend too much on machines for moments of the heart. Technology can fail, but love never does. The most important thing in a proposal is not the surprise, not the fancy gadgets, not the perfect timing. The most important thing is the sincerity of the question and the truth of the answer. And so the man who tried to propose using a drone and watched it crash into a lake discovered that love does not need technology to make it beautiful. It only needs two people who are ready to face both laughter and disaster together.